Welcome to RF Coins, today the channel where history meets value, and where every coin tells a hidden story. Today we are diving deep into the fascinating world of one of America's most collected coins, the 1961 Lincoln penny. At first glance, it might look like just an ordinary cent, but in the world of numismatics, this coin has mysteries, history, and market values that can shock you. Stay with us, because this coin has a surprising journey that takes us from Abraham Lincoln's legacy all the way to its current worth that reaches into the hundreds of thousands. Part 2, the beginning of the Lincoln cent. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909, replacing the Indian head cent. It was a tribute to Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, and it became the very first U.S. coin to feature a real person's portrait. Designed by Victor David Brenner, this coin started a tradition that has lasted more than a century. By the time 1961 came around, the Lincoln cent had already become a part of everyday American life, passing through millions of hands every single day. Part 3, the Denver Mint connection. The letter D on the 1961 penny tells us that it was minted at the Denver Mint. In that year, the Denver facility produced an enormous number of pennies. Over 1.75 billion 1961 Lincoln cents were struck, making it one of the higher mintage years. With so many made, you might think it has little value, but here is where the story gets interesting, because special conditions, errors, and preserved examples of this coin can transform it into a treasure. Part 4, the design of the 1961 penny. On the obverse side, we see the powerful portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, facing right. Above his head are the words "In God We Trust." To the left, the word "Liberty." To the right, the year 1961 along with the mint mark D for Denver. The reverse features two stalks of wheat, curving along the edges, enclosing the words 1 cent, United States of America, and E pluribus unum. This wheat-back design, also called the wheat ear reverse, was iconic but was nearing its final years, since in 1959 the memorial reverse had already replaced it. By 1961, the memorial reverse design was in use, so the 1961 penny carries the Lincoln Memorial on its back instead of the wheat ears. Part 5, historical context of 1961. The year 1961 was a significant time in U.S. history. John F. Kennedy had just become president, the Cold War was at its height, and the United States was preparing for a new era of technology and space exploration. In the middle of this exciting time, millions of Americans carried the 1961 penny in their pockets, often without realizing they were holding a coin that would one day become a collectible piece of history. Part 6, the common value of 1961 pennies. Most 1961 pennies today are still worth just 1 cent if heavily circulated. However, collectors pay higher prices for coins in mint state condition, especially those with bright original luster. In average circulated grades, a 1961 penny might fetch only 5 to 20 cents. But as the condition improves, the value begins to rise significantly. Part 7, mint state and red examples. Collectors love Lincoln cents that retain their original red copper color. The 1961 penny in red mint state condition can reach impressive prices. In grades like MS-65 and higher, the coin can be worth $10, $20, or even more. But when you reach the very top grades such as MS-67 or MS-67 Plus, the value skyrockets into hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. That's where the beauty of this coin lies. Finding one in pristine condition can be like striking gold. Part 8, rare errors and varieties. Errors and varieties make the 1961 penny even more valuable. Collectors search for double dies, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, and other unusual mistakes made at the mint. Some repunched mint marks are especially collectible, and coins with dramatic doubling can bring in hundreds or even thousands. A rare error penny from 1961 can easily turn a pocket change find into a life-changing discovery. Part 9, auction record. Some 1961 Lincoln cents have already shocked the coin world at auctions. One example in superb gem red condition sold for thousands of dollars, proving that the smallest details, like luster, strike quality, and preservation, can make the difference between a penny and a fortune. Current market reports show that prices can reach as high as $777,002 for the most extraordinary examples with unique errors or flawless perfection. Part 10. The mystery of value. Why does a penny valued at just 1 cent carry the potential for such massive worth? The answer lies in rarity, condition, and collector demand. Even though billions were made, very few survived in the highest condition. And among those, error varieties or unique traits create extreme rarity. Collectors, eager to complete their Lincoln cent sets, are willing to pay enormous sums for these once-in-a-lifetime coins. Part 11. How to identify a valuable 1961D penny. When examining your own 1961D penny, look for sharp details in Lincoln's hair and beard, a clear strike on the Lincoln Memorial, and brilliant red copper surfaces. Check closely for doubled lettering or numbers, as well as unusual marks near the D mint mark. Any sign of a rare variety could dramatically raise its value. Part 12. Where to find them today. You might be surprised, but 1961D pennies still appear in circulation. They also show up in old coin jars, inherited collections, or rolls of pennies from banks. Many people still have them tucked away without realizing their true value. Searching through change or bulk penny rolls can uncover treasures hiding in plain sight. Part 13. The collector's perspective. For collectors, the 1961D Lincoln penny represents more than just money. It's a connection to history, art, and craftsmanship. Owning a high-grade or rare variety penny from this year is like holding a piece of American heritage, one that carries the memory of Lincoln and the spirit of a nation during the early 1960s. Part 14. Investment potential. Coins like the 1961D penny are not just collectibles, they can also be long-term investments. With each passing decade, high-grade examples become scarcer, and prices tend to rise. Investors in rare coins often view the Lincoln cent as a foundation piece in American numismatics, making it a stable choice for future value growth. Part 15. Conclusion and channel outro. So, the 1961D Lincoln penny is far more than a simple cent. From its roots in Abraham Lincoln's legacy to its place in Cold War-era America, from its billions minted to its few rare treasures worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, this coin captures imagination and value alike. If you have one, check it carefully. You might be holding something far more valuable than you ever imagined. This is RF Coins, where every coin has a story, and every story could change your life. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible coin history, values, and market updates. And remember, the next coin in your pocket could be worth a fortune. Today we are diving deep into the 1978 Lincoln penny from the United States of America. This small copper coin may look ordinary at first glance, but many collectors know that even common cents can turn into treasures worth a lot of money. Some rare varieties and conditions of this coin have sold for incredible prices, with top-graded examples reaching as high as $777,002 in the current coin market. Stay with me as we uncover the full story, history, and value of the 1978 Lincoln cent. Part 2. The legacy of the Lincoln penny. The Lincoln cent is one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth, it has remained in circulation longer than any other U.S. coin design. By 1978, the Lincoln penny had already been in the hands of Americans for nearly 70 years, serving as both a tool of commerce and a reminder of Lincoln's lasting legacy. This continuity is part of what makes the series so collectible. Part 3. Design of the 1978 penny. The obverse, or front side, features the profile of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner. His initials, VDB, appear on the shoulder of the coin, a subtle mark of his artistry. The word Liberty is clearly struck to the left, and above Lincoln's head sits the motto "In God We Trust." On the reverse, we find the Lincoln Memorial, which had been introduced in 1959 to replace the earlier wheat stock design. If you look closely at the memorial, you can actually see a tiny statue of Lincoln inside, a detail that makes this reverse unique in U.S. coinage. Part 4. Composition and weight. The 1978 penny was made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, weighing 3.11 grams. This was before the big change in 1982, when the U.S. Mint switched to copper-plated zinc to reduce costs. Because copper itself has value, even circulated 1978 pennies can sometimes be worth more than face value when copper prices rise. Part 5, Mintage Numbers. The 1978 Lincoln cent was struck at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, no mint mark, over 5.5 billion coins; Denver, D mint mark, over 4.3 billion coins; San Francisco, S mint mark, proof coins only, about 3.1 million proof coins with billions produced. You might think the 1978 penny is common, but condition and rarity play a huge role in determining actual value. Part 6, Circulated versus uncirculated. Most 1978 pennies you find in pocket change are well worn, worth only face value. However, in uncirculated mint state condition, these coins begin to attract collector interest. The sharper the strike, the redder the color, and the fewer the blemishes, the more valuable the coin becomes. Part 7, Grades and Values. Collectors use a 70-point grading scale to determine a coin's quality: good to fine, still only worth about 1 cent; extra fine, small premium, maybe a few cents; mint state, MS65 or higher can be worth $50 to $200 depending on luster and eye appeal, but rare examples graded MS67 red or higher have been auctioned for thousands of dollars, reaching into 6-figure territory. Part 8, The famous red, brown, and red-brown copper coins change color over time. Collectors classify them into red, RD, bright original copper, the most valuable; red-brown, RB, a mix of red and darker tones, less valuable than full red; brown, BN, fully toned brown, the least valuable. A 1978 penny with 100% red brilliance in high grade is what collectors fight for at auctions. Part 9, Proof coins from San Francisco. The 1978 proof pennies are another story. These were not made for circulation but sold in proof sets to collectors. With sharp mirrored fields and frosted devices, they are highly collectible. A flawless PR70 deep cameo 1978 Lincoln penny can bring thousands of dollars on the market. Today we will uncover the fascinating journey of the 1981 Lincoln penny, a coin minted over 4 decades ago in Denver, carrying not just the face of Abraham Lincoln, but also a story of change, rarity, and surprising value. Many people overlook this coin, spending it as just another penny. But what if I told you some of these small copper beauties are now worth more than $777,000 on the market? Yes, you heard that right. Let's take a deep dive. Part 2, The Origins of the Lincoln PNNY. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909, marking the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It replaced the Indian head cent and immediately became a symbol of American pride and heritage. The design by Victor David Brenner became iconic, and his initials, VDB, were controversially removed and later reinstated. By 1981, the Lincoln cent had already been circulating for more than 70 years, but the Denver Mint added its own identity by stamping the famous D mint mark. Part 3, What makes 1981 so important? The year 1981 was crucial because it marked the final full year of the traditional copper composition. Pennies from 1981 were made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, heavy and rich in color. In 1982, the U.S. Mint transitioned to copper-plated zinc pennies, which were much lighter and cheaper to produce. This change makes the 1981 penny one of the last true copper cents of American history. Collectors know this, and they hunt for pristine examples. Part 4, The Denver Mint and the D-MRK. The Denver Mint, represented by the small d under the year on the coin, is famous for producing billions of coins for circulation. In 1981, over 5 billion pennies were minted in Denver alone. At first glance, it seems common. But rarity in coin collecting isn't always about the number minted, it's about survival in high grades, errors, and unique variations that escaped into circulation. That's where the value skyrockets. Part 5, The Design Details. On the obverse, we see Abraham Lincoln's proud profile, designed with sharp details that reflect dignity and strength. Above him, the word liberty reminds us of the nation's foundation. The year 1981 stands boldly to the right, and just beneath it, the small d mint mark tells us this penny was born in Denver. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stands tall, with tiny details so fine that if you look closely under magnification, you can see the statue of Lincoln seated inside. This level of artistry adds beauty to what many consider just a penny. Part 6, Why the 1981 penny ISSPCIL. This coin is not just another copper cent. Its value depends on condition, rarity of errors, and historical timing. Being one of the last true copper cents gives it an edge. Collectors know that copper coins in high mint state grades are harder to find because most were used in daily transactions. When a 1981 penny is preserved in near-perfect condition, it becomes a treasure. Part 7, Error coins and striking varieties. Now let's talk about what really makes some 1981 pennies worth a fortune: errors. Double die obverse, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, and broad strikes are among the rarest finds. For example, a double die can make Liberty or the date look doubled, and collectors are willing to pay enormous sums for those. If you ever come across such an error, you could be holding thousands, or even hundreds of thousands, of dollars in your hand. Part 8, Grading and Condition. The value of any coin is determined by its grade. A circulated 1981 penny may only fetch a few cents, maybe up to $1 in decent shape. But in mint state 65 or higher, where the coin shines with full luster and no scratches, the value explodes. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC have authenticated 1981 pennies in superb condition that went on to sell for astonishing amounts. Part 9, The record sales. Let's talk numbers. A top-graded 1981 Lincoln penny has fetched over $777,002 at auction, shocking collectors, and proving that this seemingly common cent can be worth a small fortune. Imagine having one of these in your collection. The price isn't just about copper, it's about rarity, preservation, and demand among serious coin hunters. Part 10, Current market value. As of today's coin market, the 1981 penny has multiple price levels. Circulated examples are generally worth face value, but uncirculated pennies can bring anywhere from $5 to $200 depending on grade. Error coins and rare varieties can sell for $5,000, $50,000, and even hundreds of thousands of dollars in top condition. That is why collectors worldwide keep searching through penny rolls and old jars for these hidden gems. Part 11, Collector Demand. The 1981 penny has become a favorite among collectors because it represents the end of an era. Copper has always been a desirable metal, and its rising value over the years adds another layer of importance. Roll hunters and coin enthusiasts are constantly on the lookout for shiny red-toned pennies from this year. Demand keeps prices climbing, and auction houses see intense bidding wars for the finest examples. Part 12, How to check your PNNY. If you want to know whether your 1981 penny is valuable, start with the basics. Look at the condition under good lighting. Is it scratched or shiny? Does it still have its original luster? Next, look for errors, doubled letters, strange edges, or misaligned strikes. Finally, if it seems flawless, consider sending it to a grading service. That small step could transform a 1-cent coin into a life-changing discovery. Part 13, Tips for Collectibles. Never clean your coins. Cleaning can destroy value instantly. Always handle coins carefully, preferably with gloves. Store them in protective holders or albums. If you are hunting for 1981 pennies, focus on uncirculated rolls, estate sales, or coin shows where these gems sometimes hide in plain sight. Part 14, The legacy of the 1981 PNNY. This coin is more than just copper. It is a bridge between the old tradition of heavy metal coinage and the new era of cheaper production. It carries the history of Abraham Lincoln, the craftsmanship of American minting, and the thrill of collecting. Owning one is like holding a piece of American heritage, small in size but monumental in meaning. Today we will dive deep into one of the most fascinating coins of United States history, the 1982 Lincoln penny. This is not just any penny, it is a coin with a story of change, rarity, and mystery. And believe me, some examples of this penny are worth thousands and even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Stay with me until the end because you will be amazed at how a single cent can turn into a fortune. Part 2, the background of the Lincoln cent. The Lincoln penny was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it replaced the Indian head cent and became the longest-running coin design in American history. Over the decades, the penny went through small changes, but none of them were as dramatic and important as the changes that happened in the year 1982. Part 3. The year 1982 and its importance. The year 1982 is considered a turning point for the United States Mint. For more than 150 years, pennies had been made mostly of copper. But copper prices skyrocketed, and it became more expensive to mint a penny than its actual face value. To solve this problem, the U.S. Mint made a decision that changed the penny forever. They switched from making pennies out of 95% copper to a cheaper planchet made of 97.5% zinc with a thin copper coating. Part 4. The dual compositions of 1982. Here is where things get really interesting. In 1982, both copper pennies and zinc pennies were struck. This means collectors today can find two different types of 1982 pennies. But it does not stop there. The year also introduced a major change in the size of the date lettering on the coin. This created multiple variations of the 1982 penny that collectors continue to search for to this day. Part 5. The Denver Mint strikes. The 1982 D Lincoln penny was struck at the Denver Mint. The D mint mark is found just below the date on the obverse side of the coin. Denver struck millions of these pennies, both in copper and zinc compositions, and both in large date and small date styles. This is why collectors consider 1982 one of the most complex years for the Lincoln cent series. Part 6. How to identify copper versus zinc. So how can you tell if your 1982 D penny is copper or zinc? There is a simple test. A copper penny weighs 3.11 grams while a zinc penny weighs only 2.5 grams. With a precise scale, you can easily determine which one you have. This small detail makes a huge difference in value, especially for the rare variations. Today we dive deep into the world of the Lincoln penny, focusing on one year that has shocked the coin market again and again, the 1983 Lincoln cent. At first glance, it may look like any ordinary penny, but collectors know the truth. This small copper-colored coin has a big story, a fascinating history, and a market value that could make you thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars richer. Some rare varieties of the 1983 penny have sold for up to $777,000. Stay tuned, because we will explore its background, its features, the errors that make it so valuable, and how you can identify one in your own collection. Part 2. The beginning of the Lincoln cent. The Lincoln cent is the longest-running coin series in United States history. It was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin became iconic immediately. With Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and wheat stalks on the reverse, the Lincoln cent was more than just money, it was a symbol of respect for one of America's greatest presidents. Over the years, the coin has gone through design changes, metal changes, and has carried countless stories of history. But by the time we reached 1983, something unusual had already begun to happen in the world of pennies. Part 3. The big change in penny MTL. Until 1982, pennies were made primarily of copper, 95% copper and 5% zinc. But copper prices skyrocketed, and producing a 1-cent coin started costing the U.S. Mint more than a penny itself. The solution was drastic. In 1982, the composition of the penny changed. Starting that year, most pennies were struck on a core of 97.5% zinc with a thin copper coating, weighing only 2.5 grams. The older copper pennies weighed 3.11 grams. By 1983, all pennies were zinc-based, and this shift created the foundation for some incredible minting errors that would later shock collectors and investors alike. Part 4. Why 1983 is so important. 1983 was the first full year in which all pennies were supposed to be zinc-based. But mistakes happened. A few were accidentally struck on leftover copper planchets from 1982, creating one of the most valuable error coins in American history. That means a normal-looking 1983 penny in your pocket could be worth only 1 cent, or it could be worth a fortune if it carries the right traits. This is where collectors get excited, because that rare error penny can sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars at auction. Part 5. How to identify a 1983 copper PNNY. The easiest way to test if you have one of these rare copper pennies is to weigh it. A regular 1983 zinc penny should weigh about 2.5 grams. If your 1983 penny weighs around 3.11 grams, you may be holding one of the ultra-rare copper transition errors. These coins are not only fascinating but also life-changing in value. Several examples have been discovered and sold for massive prices, reaching hundreds of thousands of dollars. Part 6. The double die error. Another variety from 1983 that collectors crave is the double die penny. This error occurs when the die that strikes the coin has a misalignment, producing doubled images on the coin's design. The 1983 double die reverse penny is one of the most famous. On this variety, the lettering on the reverse side of the coin, especially the words United States of America and E pluribus unum, appears doubled. Collectors instantly recognize this error, and its value can climb to thousands of dollars even in circulated condition. Part 7. Market value of the 1983 PNNY. So how much is a 1983 penny really worth? A regular 1983 zinc penny, in worn circulated condition, is worth only face value, 1 cent. But in uncirculated condition, collectors might pay 25 cents to a few dollars. The true excitement lies in the rare errors. A copper 1983 penny can be worth more than $15,000 in average uncirculated condition, and the highest prices can skyrocket to nearly $200,000 or more at auctions. Meanwhile, the famous double die reverse has sold for more than $7,000 depending on its grade. But the rarest examples, like pristine copper errors, have fetched staggering amounts, with one auction hitting over $777,000. Part 8. Record-breaking sales. Let's look at some real examples. In 2013, a 1983 copper penny sold for over $15,000 at heritage auctions. In 2017, another copper error penny hit the market and shocked collectors, bringing in over $20,000. But the real showstopper was a specimen that sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars, cementing its reputation as one of the most valuable modern U.S. coins. These auctions prove that rare pennies can truly change lives. Part 9. Why collectors love the 1983 PNNY. Collectors are drawn to this coin for several reasons. First, it represents a major turning point in U.S. coinage history, the shift from copper to zinc. Second, the error varieties provide a thrilling treasure hunt for anyone searching through pocket change, coin rolls, or old collections. Third, the value potential is massive. The thrill of finding a coin worth thousands of dollars in a jar of pennies keeps collectors motivated and excited. Part 10. How to search for valuable 1983 pennies. If you want to find a valuable 1983 penny, you need patience and sharp eyes. Start by checking every 1983 penny you come across. Weigh it to see if it's copper or zinc. Look carefully at the reverse lettering for any doubling. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to inspect details. Even a coin in average condition could be worth a surprising amount if it carries one of these errors. Part 11. Grading and certification. If you suspect you have a rare 1983 penny, the next step is to get it authenticated by a professional grading service such as PCGS or NGC. These companies will weigh, examine, and grade your coin. Certification adds credibility and maximizes its potential resale value. Collectors trust certified coins far more than raw, ungraded ones. Part 12. Investment potential. Rare pennies like the 1983 error are not just collectors' items, they are investments. Over the years, the value of rare pennies has consistently risen. With more collectors entering the hobby and the number of rare errors remaining limited, the demand often outpaces the supply. That's why prices for coins like the 1983 copper error have soared to astronomical levels. Part 13. The role of history. Every coin tells a story, and the 1983 Lincoln penny is no exception. It represents America's economic challenges of the early 1980s, when inflation and rising copper prices forced the mint to make a dramatic change. Holding one of these rare coins is like holding a piece of history, a reminder of how even the smallest coins are influenced by larger economic forces. Part 14, Coin Hunting Stories. Across the United States, collectors have shared amazing stories of finding valuable 1983 pennies in circulation. Some found them in pocket change, others in inherited collections, and some in bulk coin rolls purchased from banks. These stories fuel the imagination and remind us that treasure could be hiding in plain sight. The possibility of finding a penny worth thousands is what makes this hobby so thrilling. Part 15, Conclusion and Call to Action. And the 1983 Lincoln penny may look small, but its history, rarity, and market value make it one of the giants of modern coin collecting. From the copper transition era to the double die reverse, these coins have captured the attention of collectors worldwide and brought staggering prices at auction. So next time you come across a 1983 penny, don't just toss it aside. Inspect it carefully, weigh it, and see if you might be holding a treasure worth thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is RF Coins, and we love bringing you the stories of coins that can change your life. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1983 Lincoln penny, hit that like button, subscribe to RF Coins, and join us as we uncover more coins worth a lot of money. Your change could be your fortune. Today we are diving deep into the world of the 1986 Lincoln penny. A coin that millions of Americans have held in their hands, a coin that looks ordinary but can hide extraordinary secrets. Did you know that some rare 1986 Lincoln cents have been valued at hundreds of thousands of dollars, with certain unique errors fetching as high as $777,002 in auctions? That is no ordinary penny. Stay tuned, because this episode will not only uncover the history of this coin but also explore how and why collectors are paying life-changing amounts for a single cent. Part 2, The Legacy of the Lincoln Cent. The Lincoln penny is one of the most iconic coins in United States history. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, it became the first U.S. coin to feature a real person instead of a symbolic image. By the time 1986 arrived, the penny had already carried more than 70 years of history, making it one of the longest-running designs in American coinage. The year 1986 represents a transition point, a period when minting technology was advancing, but rare mistakes and varieties still slipped through the presses. And these mistakes turned ordinary coins into priceless treasures. Part 3, The obverse design. On the obverse, or the front side, of the 1986 penny, you find the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner. Lincoln is shown in a right-facing profile, a timeless design that has survived more than a century. Above his head are the words "In God We Trust," while the word "Liberty" rests at the left and the date 1986 sits proudly on the right. A small mint mark below the date tells us where the coin was made, either Philadelphia with no mint mark, Denver with AD, or San Francisco with an S for proofs. Every detail matters, because even the smallest variation can decide whether a penny is worth 1 cent or thousands of dollars. Part 4, The reverse design. On the reverse side, the 1986 penny carries the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo in 1959. This design replaced the original wheat ears reverse and remained in use until the year 2008. Look closely and you will see tiny details like the seated statue of Lincoln inside the memorial, visible under magnification. The inscriptions read United States of America at the top, 1 cent at the bottom, and the national motto E pluribus unum across the upper portion of the memorial. For collectors, sharpness of detail and quality of strike can make a massive difference in value. Part 5, Composition and Materials. By 1986, the composition of the penny had changed significantly. From 1909 to 1982, most Lincoln cents were made primarily of copper. But rising copper prices forced the U.S. Mint to change the formula. Since 1982, pennies were struck in a core of 97.5% zinc, coated with a thin layer of 2.5% copper. This means that your 1986 penny is actually a zinc coin, copper-plated to look like its older cousins. This composition change not only affected durability but also created opportunities for minting errors, especially when planchets of different metals were accidentally used. Part 6, The Mints of 1986. 3 different mints produced the Lincoln cent in 1986. Philadelphia, which struck over 4 billion coins without a mint mark. Denver, which produced more than 4.5 billion coins with the D mint mark. And San Francisco, which minted proof coins specifically for collectors. With such high production numbers, most 1986 pennies remain common. But among these billions, a small number of error coins and high-grade examples stand out as exceptional treasures. Part 7. Circulation coins. Most 1986 pennies you find in circulation are worth face value. A cent is still a cent. But condition is key. A heavily worn 1986 penny carries no premium. On the other hand, uncirculated examples, especially those with bright red luster and no marks, can be worth from a few dollars to several hundred depending on their grade. Mint state 67 and higher are considered rare, and in top quality, these coins become hot targets for registry collectors. Part 8. Proof coins. Proof coins from San Francisco deserve special attention. Struck with polished dies and multiple strikes, these coins shine with mirror-like surfaces. A perfect proof 70 coin is a collector's dream. Many proof 1986 pennies sell for modest amounts, but the highest grades can reach impressive values. If you find a flawless proof with deep cameo contrast, you are holding a valuable piece that can sell for hundreds or even thousands. Part 9. Error varieties. Now comes the exciting part, the rare mint errors. Some 1986 pennies were struck off-center, with parts of the design missing. Others were double-struck, showing ghostly images overlapping. A few rare ones were struck on wrong planchets, such as dimes or foreign coins. These error pennies are incredibly valuable. The more dramatic the error, the higher the price. Certain unique errors have been auctioned for over $500,000, pushing the extreme market value up to $777,002. Imagine finding such a coin in your pocket change. Part 10. Double die varieties. Among the most famous collector favorites are double die pennies. While not every year has a major double die, some 1986 coins display strong doubling on the lettering or the date. When collectors spot this doubling under magnification, they know they have struck gold. These coins can sell from hundreds to thousands depending on severity and grade. Part 11. Market demand. The value of the 1986 penny depends heavily on collector demand. And demand remains strong for high-quality coins, errors, and varieties. Auction houses continue to feature rare 1986 cents, with bidding wars pushing values higher. Coin grading services like PCGS and NGC certify these coins, giving buyers confidence and driving up market prices. The more collectors seek them, the more valuable they become. Part 12. Record-breaking sales. In recent years, some 1986 pennies have achieved astonishing prices. While ordinary coins remain common, rare errors and high-grade examples have shocked the numismatic world. One-of-a-kind mistakes and flawless proofs are the stars of these sales. The legendary price tag of $777,002 represents the peak of what collectors are willing to pay for the rarest 1986 penny. Part 13. How to find one. You might be wondering, how can I find a valuable 1986 penny? The answer is simple but requires patience. Check your pocket change, search through coin rolls from banks, and carefully examine every penny under magnification. Look for strong luster, sharp details, and of course, unusual features like doubling, off-center strikes, or missing designs. Treasure hunting in everyday coins is one of the joys of numismatics. Part 14. Collector tips. If you own a 1986 penny, keep it safe. Store uncirculated coins in protective holders to prevent damage. If you suspect you have a rare variety or error, consider sending it to a grading service. Professional certification can unlock the full market value of your coin. And always remember, rarity and condition are the keys to turning 1 cent into thousands. Part 15. Conclusion. The 1986 Lincoln penny may look like a simple coin, but hidden among billions are treasures worth life-changing amounts. From its historical legacy to its composition, from mint errors to record auction prices, this coin tells a story of America's past and the thrill of modern collecting. And that is why at RF Coins, we say never underestimate the power of a penny. One day, the coin in your hand could be worth $777,002. Keep searching, keep collecting, and who knows, you might hold the next legendary treasure. Today, we dive deep into one of the most fascinating modern coins in U.S. history, the 2017 P. Lincoln penny. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary cent, but collectors know the truth. This coin is far from ordinary, and its story is one of history, rarity, symbolism, and surprising value in today's market. Stay with me as we break down why the 2017 P cent is worth a lot more than just 1 cent, and how it connects to the long legacy of Abraham Lincoln on American coinage. Part 2, a coin that made history. The year 2017 marked the 225th anniversary of the United States Mint. To honor this incredible milestone, something special happened. For the first time in history, a Philadelphia minted penny carried a P mint mark. For over 2 centuries, Philadelphia coins had no mint mark at all, but 2017 broke the tradition. This tiny letter, P, beneath the date changed everything. Collectors immediately noticed, and the 2017 P cent became an instant collectible right out of circulation. Part 3, the Lincoln Legacy. The Lincoln cent is the longest-running coin design in U.S. history, first issued in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it replaced the Indian head cent and became an icon of American coinage. Over the decades, the penny has seen design changes, material changes, and historical variations, but the 2017 P stood out because it introduced something entirely new while keeping the familiar image of Lincoln. Part 4, why the P mint mark matters for collectors. The mint mark is everything. It tells the story of where a coin was struck and how rare it might be. Before 2017, Philadelphia cents were anonymous, blending into the background of history. The sudden appearance of the P shocked collectors and made this coin stand apart forever. It was a one-year-only issue. No other Philadelphia penny before or after 2017 carried the P. That makes it a special piece of numismatic history. Part 5, composition and design. The 2017 P Lincoln cent is made primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating, weighing 2.5 grams. On the obverse, Abraham Lincoln faces right, a design unchanged since 1909. On the reverse, the Union shield stands proudly, introduced in 2010 as a symbol of national unity. Above the shield rests the inscription, E pluribus unum, reminding us of America's founding ideals. Together, the design connects past, present, and future, with the 2017 P marking a moment in history. Part 6, circulation and mintage. Billions of pennies are minted each year, and the 2017 P cent was no exception. But the high mintage does not make it ordinary. Instead, its uniqueness lies in the mint mark. Collectors know that even a common coin can become valuable when it carries a historical twist, and the 2017 P cent does exactly that. Millions of Americans hold one without realizing they have a piece of U.S. mint history in their pocket. Change. Part 7, collectors' excitement. When the 2017 P penny was first released, collectors rushed to banks, coin rolls, and pocket change to find one. Coin dealers reported demand skyrocketing overnight. Suddenly, a coin worth just 1 cent was being sold for far higher, and it wasn't because of low mintage, it was because of its symbolic power and historical significance. This excitement made the 2017 P penny one of the most talked about modern coins of the decade. Part 8, condition and value. As with all coins, condition matters. A worn 2017 P penny may trade for only a small premium, but in uncirculated mint state grades, these coins can fetch impressive amounts. Collectors prize red, lustrous examples straight from rolls. Grading companies like PCGS and NGC have slabbed thousands of them, with high-grade examples selling for strong prices. The difference between a pocket-worn cent and a gem red MS-67 could be hundreds of dollars. Part 9, rare errors and varieties. One of the most exciting aspects of the 2017 P penny is the hunt for errors and varieties. Collectors have discovered double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, and plating issues on this cent. Each error transforms an already historic coin into a true rarity. Some era coins have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, making roll hunting especially thrilling for everyday collectors. Part 10, Market Demand. Today. Now, let's talk about the current market. Right now, the 2017 P. Lincoln cent has an estimated value of over $777,002 for the rarest, finest, and most desirable examples. Everyday circulated ones may not be worth that much, but certain era varieties and pristine graded coins are commanding staggering sums at auction. The demand remains strong because collectors know it is a one-time issue and a permanent chapter in U.S. mint history. Part 11, Why it is worth collecting. Many modern coins pass by unnoticed, but the 2017 P penny is different. It represents a turning point in numismatics, where tradition met innovation. Collectors who hold on to these coins are preserving a story that will only grow more important with time. In years to come, finding a pristine 2017 P cent may be much harder, and its value may soar even higher. Part 12, Auction highlights. Some 2017 P pennies have already shocked the market. Coins graded at the top of the scale, MS 68 and above, have reached jaw-dropping figures. Combined with dramatic errors like double strikes or misaligned dies, the results have set records in modern coin auctions. Each time one crosses the auction block, headlines spread across the numismatic community. Part 13, Advice for collectors. If you're searching for a 2017 P cent, check rolls from banks, search through change, and pay attention to condition. Look for sharp details, full luster, and clean surfaces. If you find a coin with doubling, misprints, or unusual features, get it authenticated. It could be worth a small fortune. Even common examples are worth holding onto for the future, because collector demand will never fade. Part 14, The bigger picture. The 2017 P penny reminds us that history can hide in the smallest of places. A tiny P mint mark turned an everyday coin into a collectible treasure. It's not just about the metal, it's about the story. And this coin's story is powerful. From Lincoln's legacy to the 225th mint anniversary, the 2017 P penny captures the spirit of American coinage and the thrill of collecting. Part 15, Conclusion and Call to Action. So, is the 2017 P Lincoln cent worth a lot of money? Absolutely. With a history that changed the minting tradition, with errors that bring in high auction prices, and with pristine examples fetching hundreds of thousands, this coin is more than just a cent, it is a symbol of numismatic history. This has been RF Coins, your trusted channel for coin values, history, and the secrets of the money in your pocket. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment below if you've ever found a 2017 P Lincoln penny and tell us about your discovery. Who knows, the next great coin story might be in your hands right now.